Most people have a goal, they don't have a plan. There's no bad foods, there's no good foods. There's only good habits and bad habits. Increase muscle mass, that's going to mean that you're less likely to die in a car crash, you're more likely to survive chemotherapy, everything else is going to feel a little bit lighter. If you're going to make a habit, make it accessible, make it easy, and make it enjoyable.
So as I'm sitting here on this chair, I am 90 kilos.
Okay.
I weighed myself this morning, and there's probably a group of people that see me as someone who is so focused on my fitness and my health.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say there's different levels of education on fitness and health, but I am the heaviest I've ever been. I'm also the healthiest I've ever been, the strongest I've ever been. Maybe the cardio is a bit not just in the right place, but being so educated that the education you've passed me, I still am in denial about how I'm getting heavier, because I know we haven't measured my food to the last detail of what you've tried to help me do.
Mm-hmm.
But I am slightly confused of how I'm getting heavier.
Okay, cool. Are we okay to go into kind of like a little bit more specifics about you?
Yeah, of course.
Both kind of like from a scientific point of view, but also from a personal point of
And
view.
I also know there's so many people out there that's asking that question.
Yeah. So for kind of like the audience's perspective, we with Pete Williams' help, we did a lot of kind of like genetic testing. It found out that you're better off avoiding more carbohydrate-based diets. Okay. And for me personally, I think that's become a big part of your persona of kind of like carbs are bad.
Carbs are terrible.
Carbs, they're not, and especially when it comes to athletics. But so most of what we focused on with you has been kind of like towards more vegetables, kind of like fresh produce for your carbohydrates, and then good fats. And I feel like your good fats you enjoy a lot. So as we say, like broccoli's fantastic. Broccoli with butter and pepper on is much better. And so
I love the butter and pepper.
Yeah, and it's kind of like bringing more awareness to kind of like where we can be getting those little calories. So like whether it's liquid calories for some people, like beer, like milk, anything that's a bit more dense than water, basically, and where we're making little additions to make food taste better, especially when it comes from high kind of calorie sources like butter, oils, and that kind of thing. So I feel like it's more towards kind of making those slight adjustments. And also it doesn't happen quickly, does it? We don't go from being kind of 85 kilos to 90 kilos in a couple of weeks. It's gradual. And making those changes over a prolonged period of time is what's going to get the best results.
But as you've educated me about protein, the way that I've always found to get lighter is basically fast. Starve myself for 24, 48 or 72 hours. But the more I've learned from you and others that the longer you fast, then you're maybe undoing all that muscle or part of that muscle that you have spent all that time gaining.
100%. So what the statistics were, they did a 7-day fast with people, and they measured kind of like where that weight loss was coming from. And they found that 60% of it was coming from muscle loss. Now that doesn't mean you've lost 60% of your muscle, it just means that weight loss is coming from muscle cells. So that might be glycogen stores, so the energy for your fuel for your muscle cells. That can be from the water to hold the creatine. And they found that only a small part of that, I think it was around 400, which is still a lot, 400 grams of muscle tissue, was actually from connective tissue, not from things. So when we say 60%, it sounds a lot, but they're there going, well, water loss, and then, well, basically water loss and kind of anything else to do with the tissue. But yeah.
So do you think that me being 90 kilos now, I just think that all the hard work we've done is covered with these layers of fat. Underneath this, there actually must be a pretty nice physique.
Yeah.
Just 10 kilos of fat that is sort of covering it up.
So I want to ask you a question. So even though you're 90 kilos, in terms of your confidence and your happiness toward your training and your health, where does that sit?
Only bit I don't like is some of my clothes don't fit. As for feeling, I feel strong, feel fit, feel healthy. I know my nutrition at its all-time best. Probably when I go for a run, it's not optimal. But overall, if I was to say that, I just don't like looking in the mirror or looking at a photograph of myself. But I know the logic tells me that I'm in the best possible place for nutrition. All the focus we've done on sort of making sure there's no injury, making sure that basically overall I feel good. I would just like to be leaner.
Yeah. So gun to head tomorrow, if you had to go and do a healthy, so when we say healthy weight loss, we're talking kind of like 1 to 2 pounds per week of fat loss. So without doing any kind of fasting or anything else. And fasting does work. We know that because it gives us a way of reducing our calories really quickly. Reducing calories on a day-to-day basis by 200 to 250 calories is really hard, especially if you don't know the last detail.
Do you remember we did the velocity diet?
Yes, velocity diet. So for people who don't know what the velocity diet is, 5 shakes a day. It was popularized mid kind of 2000s. Dan John was a big advocate of it. And basically 5 shakes a day with peanut butter, flax seeds, a very long list of supplements that you'd want to take with it, and protein powders. So it hit exactly what you need for your calories.
I went in
fats.
the waves. I remember day one, all excited, adrenaline, wasn't too bad. And then I got these waves of, fuck, I'm hungry. And I don't know if it was I'm hungry or I miss the social side of food. I miss the habit of grabbing something from a shelf when you're walking past the shop. We were on about 1,800 calories, weren't we?
No, I think we were more like, 2.2, so 2,200 calories.
2,200
Yeah, I was a
calories.
little bit more, obviously.
And I lost 4 kilos maintained my muscle,
Yeah,
but I lost 4
because
kilos
we did a
in a
DEXA
month.
scan to check that we were kind of like maintaining muscle.
Yeah, I suppose for importance, we actually measured before muscle, water, fat, and we measured after. So I guess in principle, gun to head where I knew I had to eat that thing for a month, I can do it. The bit that I struggle with, and I think so many other people, is the ease of the social side is out the window if you're going to eat broccoli with a bit of butter, lean meats, or even you just can't go to a restaurant now, or it's really, really difficult.
Or just simply, you just don't get to eat nice stuff that's on the restaurants. If you look at a restaurant
Don't drink
platter,
beer.
Yeah, exactly. Reduce the liquid calories. But yeah, you're a very social eater. Like I say, what percentage of your meals do you think are eaten socially?
Well, it has changed quite a bit, but it would probably went that close to, in the early days, was close to 100%. Thought there's no point in living in a city centre if you're not going to take advantage of what the city centre has to offer.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But at the same time, whether it was the fact I knew I was consuming calories, so I would probably try and restrict my calorie intake by having 2 meals a day because I knew I was going to go out that night and have a few beers. I kind of balanced it in a slightly different way. The bit that, genuinely, apart from me being heavy, it's nice to see that coming into my mid-40s, I have 2 or 3 more kilos of muscle than I did when I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah.
Now imagine I can get another decade of training with you and have another 2 or 3 kilos of muscle. That would be extremely impressive.
Yeah, 100%. Especially like as we know that testosterone levels decrease as we get over 30, so putting on muscle gets harder and harder and harder. But I think a really important thing for everybody is just knowing that you can put on muscle at whatever age. And it's when we've been to DEXA stands, when we've given results to other people, and you're saying you're over 40 and you're still managing to put on muscle, there's almost that shock to it, isn't there?
There is,
Of
but
like,
the bit that blew my mind is they'll say, oh, it's easy for Matt, but it's actually harder for you. Whenever you hit a point of where you have so much muscle, you lose muscle quicker, wouldn't you? Whereas somebody started off at a very low level
yeah,
and didn't exercise, they'd get fitter or stronger quicker initially.
I don't know. I feel like if you've gained muscle, this is not fact, this is just from my own personal perspective. I feel like if you've gained muscle slowly over a long period of time, I think the most that I've ever put on in a year has been 4 kilos of lean mass, but fairly consistently over time from when I first started resistance training. And then there'll be phases where you put on 4, you lose a little bit when you're trying to cut, you've gained a few too many pounds of fat along there as well. So yeah, I found that there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach to it. But I feel like when you do, it's hard to lose that muscle mass. I find aesthetically there's a loss when you're not training as much.
Is that in your mind as well?
I don't know whether it is. I think there's definitely some kind of confirmation bias there. I've come from a background of being a very small, skinny swimmer to kind of like wanting to really spend a lot of time trying to put on muscle mass and keep that muscle mass. So yeah, I feel like if we are training or you're not kind of like, let's say we've been on a training course for kind of like a couple of weeks and your calorie deficit is ridiculously low from some of the courses I've been on, where you physically can't get in 2,000 calories, you can't get 200 grams of protein, I think there would be a large element of confirmation bias afterwards of, oh God, I feel so skinny right now. Or just been so busy that your training's not what it should be. You're doing maintenance, so you're doing 3 sets of 5 and getting in and getting out of the gym. Definitely there's that kind of feeling of sight. But it's so quick to come back, either psychologically or physically, come back to getting a decent amount of muscle tone and feeling confident about yourself again. It's like almost being taken away from the gym for 2 weeks does kind of like ruin your mental or your mindset a little bit.
So do you know when you were the skinny swimmer, did you know if you fast forwarded 10, 15, 20 years, you'd end up being the more muscly individual that's into all-round fitness? Or how did you figure out to slowly put on muscle for this past 2 decades? Or 15? How long have you been
coaching for 15 years, and it was, in all honesty, it was a very short jump between getting into training properly and coaching, just because there was a gap in the market, and I was asked by somebody to basically take a role, and being the only person to do it, thank you very much, being the only person to do it at the time, just jumped at the opportunity, really. But yeah, what was the question again? Sorry, is if my younger, skinny swimmer self could look at me now, what would he think? Was it?
Would you actually have known? Because most people, my dad thinks it's too late, and he could never envision if he trained for 15 years, like you have. Well, is it because he hasn't got the want, or was it because he just doesn't believe he could get there? But whenever you were younger, did you think, I want to look like that? Or you just knew that if you did it consistently over 15 years, you'd end up looking like that?
Yeah, I think, well, when I was a swimmer, we got taken to do gymnastics, but that was more from, because my dad was a swimming coach. He noticed that all 3 of us, so I've got 2 brothers, all 3 of us were swimmers. The other 2 were very talented. I wasn't. But he also noticed that all of us, had a bit of body dyspraxia, so we weren't very good balance, coordination. None of us were good at ball sports. Well, I definitely wasn't good at ball sports. I wasn't good at throwing or catching. So he thought putting us into gymnastics would get some better body coordination, and absolutely true. So we were kind of around gymnastics for a long time. And then I think getting to that age, sort of like 16, 17, being interested in girls, and then going, yeah, I probably want to look a bit.
I was interested in girls long before that.
Yeah.
That was...
Got to think a far way back for that, haven't we? Yeah. But sort of like thinking like about what they would perceive you to be.
Yeah.
I think that kind of like pushed me a little bit. Then went to university. I don't think I did anything for 3 years. I think I did a bit of rock climbing while I was at university.
Was that because the environment didn't allow it, or you weren't that interested?
Just, I think, enjoyed alcohol and women far too much, and was kind of like down that route for a long time. And kind of, if I think about myself back then, I don't think it even came across my mind to go to the gym. I didn't think there was any guilt about it. I'd go swimming, we'd go rock climbing.
But had you an interest?
No, not an interest to go there. Interest in swimming and rock climbing, yes, 100%.
So did you think that you could possibly have that interest and knowledge now when you look then?
No, not at all.
So something that's clicked or evolved as you started doing it?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So I got interested in training probably like 2006, 2007. Mainly because I wanted to get into the fire service, and I thought aesthetically it needed to be bigger. I turned around to friends at the time and said, oh, I'd like to get to the fire service. And I remember a couple of them just kind of like spat out the tea, kind of laughing, just because I was literally like very skinny. I did, however, have one really good friend who turns around and goes, I'll go to the gym with you. And then we kind of like, we solidly hit the gym for kind of like 3 years, put on a decent amount of muscle mass, completely different type of training to what we do now. And then I kind of, do you remember 300?
The movie?
Yeah. So 300 had a big kind of following, and there was a group called Jim Jones at the time who were training the actors for 300. And I was really interested, going, okay, how have they got these guys into this degree of kind of physicality in such a short space of time? So you look at the methods, and you kind of, and I think that was probably just looking and kind of like wanting to see behind the curtain was probably a big influencer in wanting to know more about kind of training styles. And then that kind of led to understanding that Jim Jones's principles were largely based off the CrossFit mythology. So getting it really interested in that side of things. And it was kind of like from there, it was just a snowball effect into kind of like wanting to understand more about strength training, Olympic weightlifting, and then obviously leading on to the nutrition side of it. And my background as kind of in science lent really well to kind of like the nutrition side of it as well.
Well, what did it give you? Because if I bring it back to my business journey, I have just been driven. I thought money would solve all my problems. So if I bring that into the fitness journey, if I had been you at 17, I would have thought getting fit, strong would solve all my problems. Or I realized that my drive is still to do well in business, but there's a social side involved now. There's an altruistic side. There's more that I realize the money is a tool just to do other things. But I had a huge interest in business, and I still do. I just now realize that I have to educate myself more.
But the values have changed, I'm guessing. Yeah.
The value, well, my basic values will always be there.
Yeah.
But the value of what I thought the business would give me. But I still had the driver. I knew as a very young boy, I'd be here today. I have that interest that I'll always turn up at my business. But you had that period where you just didn't want to turn up at fitness.
No, not at all.
Which gives, I guess, a lot of people hope, because sometimes I think that the people that end up, I guess, in this being fit and healthy human beings, had a shock in their life that made them do it.
Yeah.
That made them change, or they've just, like I hear all the time, but that's not my thing. That's not what I'm into.
Yeah, I think the shock in my life to kind of like turn around was literally, oh, I'm just going to go start going to the gym, and then getting laughed at for it. That is kind of like, it's always a big motivator,
Yeah,
isn't it?
if somebody laughs at you.
Yeah, you're like, I'm definitely going to prove you wrong, kind of thing. It obviously stuck with me. So, yeah, I think that could have been the little shock for me to kind of like really, but the enjoyment factor of just learning more and more, like once you got into that rabbit hole.
Because your training partner made you go as well?
I think it kind of, we both made each other go back then. It's like we both had the enthusiasm. And then when the training turned more towards CrossFit, he kind of ran away like a...
For me, I would have never... I probably would have dipped in and out of training, but only the fact that I'm accountable to you. In effect, you're also my training partner and my coach, but I would never have trained consistently for this past decade if I wasn't accountable to you, because there's not a chance I would wake up 5 a.m. or do the sessions we've done. Even when you're telling me it's fine, just turn up, we'll get something done. I just wouldn't have done it. I know personally myself, I wouldn't have done it. So I've changed something that that I'm not that driven by, and I've found somebody that I'm accountable to. So in effect, I probably train because I don't want to let you down. So if I was to give anyone advice that wants to get fit but hasn't got the deep interest or motivation, I would say you have to find somebody that you're accountable to.
Yeah, 100%. So we always talk about getting into training, especially if you're not that confident with it. I suppose it's the same with anything. It doesn't have to be training or weight loss. Is, like you say, be accountable to somebody. Is literally either go and tell people that this is what I'm going to do, like whether it's people at work, whether it's people who go, or it's accountable by saying, could you come and train with me? It's like, let's do this together kind of thing, walk the roads together. And I suppose that has a large carry forward in business as well. It's like, if you get a lot of people on the road with you, it's going to be a lot easier journey than it is just doing it by yourself.
You have to tell everybody when I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Because I'll let myself down, but I won't be caught out or let anyone else down. So if I bring anyone on the journey with me, I feel like they are the one that's actually dragging me to the destination. Although I've maybe made the narrative up or created the vision of where we're going to go. It's probably the same then for if you enter competitions. Because I know whenever you enter a competition, then all of a sudden that is the goal.
Yeah. I can't remember who was talking to this really recently. Guy in work, and he's going in for his first Ironman. I'm sat in the gym, just warming up, and I said to him, the question was probably in my usual way a little bit overcomplicated, but I said to him, do you enjoy your training or do you enjoy the competitions? Long pause. I said, let me put it a different way. It's like, if you got to where your competition was and you got deployed for work, and you had to miss your triathlon, would it bother you at all, or would you just carry on to the next one? And he said, no, I just crack on. I just love the training.
Wow.
And most of us just need that. For me personally, and that's what I was trying to get at with him, is most of us use that point in time as a bit of a testing to see really how much has our training really worked. Yeah. And so whether that's kind of you're doing a periodized program, so a point at which you're going to retest your bench press, whatever, your squats. Yeah, exactly. We probably do less and less of that because we lift to kind of RP8 a lot more regular these days, don't we? Time efficiency, but also kind of continuity. But we will still have those sessions where either you decide, do you know what, I want to see what.
Well, I'm the person that has to, in my snooker career, I would never have practiced unless there was a competition or I knew I was going to win something. In business, I would never do it unless there was a goal of achieving something. It's a bit more blurry in business because you don't really have a goal unless you think from setting out you want to sell the company or you want to make a certain amount of, you don't have a goal of I'm going to get 10 employees and be happy. You have a goal of usually a monetary value. And when you get close to it, you change the goalpost because you realize it's never enough.
Yeah, that's it. But, same in training though, isn't it? Is how I'm terrible. So let's say I have a goal of a bench press weight and I get there. So little time is spent on celebrating that achievement.
No, instantly, well, we recently hit some new records. I brought this book with me actually. This is this book was a book that was bought from as a Christmas present, and I didn't know what to do with it. So we started putting in our training, and if you look back at...
It's well travelled as well, isn't it now?
That's a proper book. Even if there's nothing inside, it would look like it's done its journey. But it's incredible to see. I looked back on it before today, and I thought, wow, I have forgot all of the things we've done in that book. And if someone's to ask me where my strength, fitness, the amount of times I've turned up, it's probably all just all forgotten, all blurred into one. But it's incredible to watch how much I've improved.
Yeah.
But if I was to think where I was going to get to now, I've already moved the goalposts.
Yeah.
I already now know that what I'm achieved in that book, I would have been satisfied 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at, oh, that's not enough. I had a bad day, but I'm still breaking all the records that I...
And you know your current goals that we have for you at the moment,
Yeah.
on a good day,
Yeah.
you could do them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I just need to get these
Oh,
out of the way so I can move on to the next goal.
Although I've beat all my records from last year.
Yeah.
But my goals, and that's the bit that I sort of, I don't know, will I ever be satisfied? Or is there such a thing of, is it okay not to be satisfied? A great quote. The best quote I've heard about when's enough in business, and it could probably, it should never be, I guess, enough in exercise. But my dad's friend said, I'll tell you when enough is whenever you have constant improvement, but you don't fucking jeopardize what you've already got.
Yeah, I like that.
And for years, my dad and family, mum and dad who care about me the most, have said, Sean, when's enough? You're probably concerned, or am I overdoing it? And when I heard that, that was the answer. So I'm not going to jeopardize my muscle mass. I'm not going to jeopardize my nutrition. I'm not going to jeopardize my sleep. But I have to keep continuing to get better.
So let's rewind a little bit then. So your first question was, how do I not weigh 90 kilos? You said, do you think that the potential for you not wanting to lose those strength goals, not wanting to lose those kind of gains that you've made, and knowing the fact that when you've done things like fasting, there's a potential that we've lost that muscle mass, hold you back a little bit from reducing those calories by kind of like more extreme measures, and takes that kind of tool away from you a little bit?
I would say that when we set our goals about 18 months, 2 years ago, and trying to build muscle, because we talked about the value of muscle, and maybe we can touch on that in a minute, how important muscle is. When we really talked about the value of building muscle, and it's hard to build muscle and maintain or lose weight, then I think I opened the gates and said, all right, Sean, you're allowed to consume a little bit more. By consuming a little bit more, gave me the habit of having a little bit more, the cravings of having a little bit more, bit of an excuse to eat a little bit more chocolate, or have that burger and chips, or have the extra slice of sourdough with olive oil. Olive oil?
Yeah.
I didn't realize until you educated me recently how much fucking calories in olive oil. But olive oil's good for you, isn't, as they say, isn't it good calories?
Yeah. Is it, that's that simple kind of like thing that we try to distinguish when we get people sat down talk about nutrition, isn't it? Is there's no bad foods, there's no good foods. There's only good habits and bad habits. Yeah.
So when I eat a bowl of fruit, a friend of mine who I went to see recently is borderline diabetic, and it's the same story. We all talk about what we ate on the best possible day. So he lists out what he ate, and I went, okay, I did what you do to me. Carbs, so a bowl of muesli, carbs, sandwich and something, okay, carbs and a bit of protein, and fruit. And I said, okay, sugars. And he said, but that's good sugars. And I said, it's sugars. And we had this slight friendly debate on that's good sugars. And I'm saying, well, but it's sugars. And that's what people start thinking, that it's good sugar so they can consume as much as they want of it. Like, I think olive oil is good fats, which I love olive oil, especially in sourdough bread. So I guess we all can make our excuse on that. But what is the takeoff if you eat too much fruit? Can you get
So
heavy?
I'm going to say it's going to be very difficult, isn't it, to overeat on fruit and put weight on. Just because, so go back to kind of like, there's no good foods, there's no bad foods. There's only good habits and there's bad habits. And lastly, there's nutrient dense foods and nutrient deficient foods. Okay, so when we turn around and we say, okay, well, let's take some nutrient dense foods. Fruit, yeah. So is predominantly still going to be water, some good soluble fiber in there, and a bit of sugar. The fiber is going to generally be offsetting. Sorry, the sugar is going to be offset by the fiber, so it's going to slow down that insulin spike. So it's not going to be kind of the same as eating a tablespoon of table sugar or eating sweets. Yeah. On the opposite side of it, what's the opposite side of? Let's say there's 10 grams of sugar in whatever fruit it is that you're having, versus me having 10 grams of sugar in boiled sweets. There's no fiber there. There's no nutrition there. So it's nutrient dense versus nutrient deficient. And we turn around and we say the same thing in terms of like meats. So protein powder, there's going to be very little in terms of nutrition there. You've got your protein, which is fantastic, but do you have the zinc, the kind of like all the good minerals and vitamins that are going to be going along with it, your vitamin Bs that you're going to get from like a lean source of protein? Yeah, so it's nutrient dense and nutrient deficient, I think, are better kind of like words that we could use than good foods and bad foods and good fats and bad fats. So nutrient deficient versus nutrient dense.
It just gets so complex, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
so nutrient dense is generally going to have quite low calories. It's taken up by water, it's taken up by fiber, it's taken up by minerals and vitamins. Nutrient deficient is generally all those vitamins and minerals are going to be taken up by calories. Yeah, not good calories, not bad calories, but you more and more make those whole food choices that are going to be more nutrient dense. You're going to be going a long way to improving your long-term health.
Is it just harder for people now? Is it because the temptation is it's so abundant? You walk down any street and you're not going to find nutrient dense food, are you? You're going to find the fast food or the tasty food.
Yeah.
Does it mean that you just genuinely have to put so much effort in, like our grandparents did about getting whole foods by going out and searching for them, whether they searched in the field or you have to go to a farmer's market? Is it just something that has a label on it you just shouldn't eat?
I don't think it's a case of shouldn't. I think an awareness is very, very important. Like we have it a lot better and a lot worse than our grandparents. The options that we have, absolutely amazing. Some really tasty foods out there that, like I say, I wouldn't want to live without. But having it constantly there in front of you makes it very, very difficult to turn those options down. Little things that we try and get people to do when we're trying to form those good habits as a coach. Little things like when you're doing your shopping, never do it hungry. You're going to make bad food choices. Secondly is try and get your shopping around the outside of the supermarket done first. So that's where all your fresh produce is, that's where your meats, that's where your vegetables,
so whenever they put all the sweets at the till
yeah,
on the way through, where they want you to grab the last little thing.
Nobody ever goes into the supermarket to make those options at the last part of the till. They are kind of like a board. They're put there as a boredom kind of, oh, I'm stood here, could do with that, or I'm a bit hungry kind of thing. They're never the best options. They're kind of like your post 10 p.m. at night options that you've made. No good decisions made after 10 p.m. No good decisions made when you've got to the till.
So going back to strength training, why is it so important to be strong or gain muscle? Is there different types of muscle?
There is. Could do an entire podcast on this one, couldn't you really? So short-term benefits, well, physiologically, so as in what's going to happen to your body, you're going to find, like I say, increased muscle mass. That's going to mean that you're less likely to die in a car crash. You're more likely to survive chemotherapy. We're going with the extreme examples here. You're more useful. Like I say, everything else is going to feel a little bit lighter. Less prone to injury. Like I say, just held together a hell of a lot better. And then balance is going to improve, which is going to be really important, especially for our older watchers. Yeah.
So by having more muscle, you get better balance.
Improve your balance, yeah. So especially when it comes to older people training, we're going to stave off things like osteoporosis, which is going to be a big one when it comes to things like frailty. Like I say, frailty is never a good thing. So sarcopenia is where we have age-related muscle loss, which is probably one of the biggest factors that we find people kind of age. You see that rapid decline in people's ability as they're getting older. So all our hormones are kind of like starting to, things like testosterone are starting to decline. So our bodies kind of like find it a lot easier to lose muscle, but less likely to hold on to it. So we always talk about...
I never even knew there was such a word until a number of years ago. It's as if all this information's just appeared.
Hopefully for the best as well. So it's like getting people more aware of it. Is how many, if I went back 40 years and you said to kind of like my grandparents, oh, have you thought about strength training as you're getting older? They'd probably kind of like just ignore the question and carry on, wouldn't they really? Whereas these days, I think it's a lot more, because those words like sarcopenia and starting to understand them, understanding osteoporosis, understanding the mechanisms in frailty and how we can avoid them. I think they're so important. And then we move on. So benefits, we move on to the psychological factors. Like if you know you can stick to a strength-based program, the likelihood is you're mentally going to be developing your mental resilience there.
I've never known anyone to put on muscle and regret it.
No. Even every single person who comes in and has said, I don't want to get bulky, and then ends up putting on good amount of lean muscle mass has never regretted it. I'm sure there'll be somebody come in with one single case where they haven't really enjoyed it, but more often than not, people enjoy being stronger, feeling more useful. Like I say, we know for a fact, strength training, good range of motion, if you have something like arthritis, it's going to kind of alleviate those symptoms. So yeah, benefits countless.
The word that people seem to use a lot now is longevity. And we've discussed it, where is it quality or quantity?
Yeah.
And I think muscle, as far as I know, or as far as I believe now, is the bit that's going to give you the quality.
Yeah. And what's going to give you the quantity?
Cardio.
So we know that there's a big correlation between VO2 max and the length of time that you're going to live. And VO2 max doesn't mean that you have to be kind of like ball breaking, doing ridiculously high intensity workouts. We know for a fact it just means increasing your aerobic fitness. So zone 2 training, don't have to kind of spend your entire life on your Tamagotchi, like on Training Peaks or on Strava, trying to beat everybody. Good motivation, like we talked about, having kind of like the ability to know that you're improving, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be that. In between your strength days, doing a little bit, going for a run, going for a row, kind of like sticking to that conversational pace for more than 20 minutes is going to do wonders for kind of like your VO2 max.
Yeah, so none of us are going to live forever. Well, there's a few people might think they will, but the idea of fitness, strength, is that we're going to live healthier for longer.
That's it. So it's quality of life. So you're going to be useful for a lot longer. I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it?
And not, well, I said it recently. Remember I said to you, Matt, I don't think I'll do squats tomorrow because I've just done 2 days hiking in the mountains.
It's quite a long time ago, that.
And I've heard that so many times. Well, I don't need to go to the gym because I have been walking all day, or I've got a job that keeps me fit.
Yeah.
So what's the difference about a job that keeps you fit and going to the gym?
It's like our grandparents would say to us, why do you need to go to the gym? I've got a dark garden that needs digging up. Yeah, there's your gym. And we talk about kind of that progression.
So really we should do both. We should know how to dig up the garden.
But hopefully your strength training would help you be better at digging up the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is progressive overload, aren't we? So is systematically increasing the amount of stress that we're going to put on the body and allowing the body to adapt to it over amount of time. Very clever saying that goes a little bit too scientific was a guy called Lewis Simmons, who was the owner of Westside Barbell, and he said training is sublethal doses of homeostatic disruption. Yeah, and that means that basically we're disrupting your body's ability to do something for a short amount of time so it comes back stronger. Yeah. Now, a training program should be getting you stronger, or it should be increasing at least reps, sets, time under tension, weights in varying degrees throughout it. So you might find that a training program would start with high repetitions, go to low repetitions and increase the weight throughout it. That's what's called linear progression. Yeah. Or we could kind of like mix the repetitions up over time. We could do something called undulating periodization. You get really technical. Doesn't really matter as long as there's a progression there overall. Yeah. Versus doing yard work where we don't really account for kind of like how much volume we're doing, like the type of volume that we're doing. Hard labor is going to keep us strong and fit. At some point, we're going to get very efficient at it, and we're going to do it
Easier.
Yeah. So I always go back to the farm example. Young farmer, nice, strong, fit, everything's very inefficient, but then they start getting really good at the task. Everything becomes a lot more efficient. They find out better ways to do it. Yep. We no longer see young, fit farmer. We see farmer who's tended to put on a little bit of weight and struggling a bit more with their jobs, but they're still getting on with it because they're very efficient at their task. Yeah.
So my strength goals, no doubt, have been to do with my nutrition. But this past 12 to 18 months, my sleep has probably been the best it ever was.
Yeah.
Because for years, I know it's obvious, you sleep more, you recover better. But for years, I always, whether I was pushing myself too much in other aspects of my life, either business or staying out late many's a night, I just didn't focus on my sleep.
Yeah.
There's a huge push now towards sleep, or maybe it's because I'm aware of it so much. But how important is it to get your recovery or get your sleep? What a stupid question, really, isn't it? But many people don't do it, including me.
So
or
I think
didn't do it.
Let's both rewind to maybe.
I'm going to call you out here.
Okay.
You're in fire and rescue, so you don't always get your sleep.
Nope. No, it's something well beyond my control. But I do try and make sure that there's certain habits that I keep up with when I don't get my sleep. Yeah, so that's a big one. So making sure that kind of like the following as many days as possible, not trying to compensate for it, but I'm going to make sure that I get as much healthy sleep as I can, try and get back to some kind of routine. Like I say, the big one that we talked about like yesterday morning, with trying to make sure that I'm getting sunlight in the mornings, that I'm due, and then trying to make sure that you're getting...
Yeah, just so the audience know, you do shift work, so you do 24 hours on.
Do 24, well, we'll vary between doing days and 24-hour shifts. So where we'll do some days, which obviously aren't interrupting our sleep at all, and then 24-hour shifts where you could be like non-stop jobs for 24 hours. So yeah, we don't work consecutive 24 hours, so we'll just work 24-hour shift and then we'll have an adequate recuperation period before we do on to another shift. So during that time period, making sure that I'm getting as good a quality sleep as I can physically.
So you're able to catch up a little bit if you have a bad night's sleep?
Yeah, I don't like to use the term catch up, just for me personally, because I feel like you can't really offset that bad sleep. Things that I've found that work really badly for me is like napping. Like after a shift, I found that if I do go back home and meet, like it's been a completely busy, get some sleep, and then try and stay active, it does tend to ruin your rhythm. It's like it'll be very hard to get back to sleep that night. But then compensating for it by having a decent amount of sleep the following nights. So like where, let's say normally I'd probably get between 7 and 8 hours sleep, I will try and get kind of like 9 to 10 hours sleep on those days, yeah.
Is that a mindset, or you actually think it does?
If I don't do that, I'll feel a massive impact on my training. Yeah, everything will feel a lot harder. I won't be able to hit the weights that I previously was hitting. Over a longer period of time, joints will start to hurt a lot more.
I've noticed my clarity. I just know that, which is like, let's state the obvious, but then let's just see how many people actually do it. But my clarity, because I'm sleeping so much, is I feel like it's, you know, you just are operating on a different level.
Yeah.
How for years
I was about to ask
I
this.
just didn't. Maybe was it other things took priority, or is it I'm at a stage of life where I think it's so important?
So let's rewind 15 years where we're both kind of like, I'm trying to work on a business, you're trying to work on a business, but you're also trying to get your health up, and you're coming into the gym. Minimal sleep when you first started training.
That was madness, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Think
then,
about actually. Well, I actually had a choice: stay in bed, get some sleep,
yeah.
or train. Because if I was operating a 18-hour day, whether that was work or socializing, I suppose I prioritized work. Second, prioritized socializing. Third, had to train. So then it left such a small window for sleep.
Yeah.
So something had to give. And I suppose in that aspect is my socializing's actually stopped or reduced dramatically to allow myself to sleep.
And then fast forward a little bit, we start trying to introduce you to getting more sleep. How did you find that kind of like that first few times where you're actively trying to get more sleep? Do you think that you felt more tired, or do you think you had an immediate kind of benefit from it?
Depends. I think that flows because sometimes when I have a really good night's sleep or continuous good night's sleep. Now, I've slept this past 5 days, and I'd say average 9 hours. One day was 12, one day is 10, one day is 8, but I've slept about an average, I would say, imagine 9 hours. Do I feel like somebody who slept so well? Probably not.
Yeah.
But inside, I feel so good that I've done it.
Yeah.
I felt tired yesterday when we trained, but the numbers I hit,
Yeah.
I remember saying to you, oh, I am exhausted. I don't even really want to turn up. But the numbers told a different story.
Yeah.
On how I felt.
And it's like we said afterwards as well, is like, have you ever regretted a training session?
Yeah. I've very rarely regretted a good night out either, but 80% of people that set New Year's resolutions break them. Why?
In all honesty, I think from what we see in the gym, I can only go off my own experience. And most people have a goal, they don't have a plan. Same as everything, isn't it? And when we get a new client in the gym, the way that we approach it is, so you come in and you say, Matt, I want to be 85 kilos. That's your point B. So everybody knows their point B. Yep. So when somebody comes in the gym, it's our thing to turn around and say, okay, well, what's your point A? So where are you? And then very simply is, what's the plan to get there? So point number one, very few people work out that plan. They just have a program and think that it's going to work. But have they planned from point A to point B? Second one's probably going to be what's seen as motivation. Yeah. And I don't think motivation is the right tool because nobody can keep up motivation forever. It's the big thing of motivation versus discipline, isn't it? And when you say somebody's not got discipline, we automatically take this as an insult and everything else. They're going, well, you just haven't allocated the time towards making the habit. Yep. And how are we going to make this new me kind of like habit to be? Have you allocated the time for it? Have you got the skills that you've set out to get your plan? So let's say, for example, okay, I want to lose 10 kilos throughout January, February. Okay, well, first off, can you count calories? That's a skill. Yeah, have you learned how to do it? Or have you just kind of like, you're going to try and eat a little bit better? Okay, so have you done that? Second one, can you cook? That's a skill. Have we allocated the time towards learning that skill? Or am I just going to hope that I can eat the right things and guess my way through it?
Well, that's why delivery's there.
So yeah, delivery with calorie counting, yeah, fantastic. Maybe there is, I don't know. Maybe somebody's already got that. But yeah, it's one of those where try and make things. If I had to give advice to somebody to try and do it, is figure out the skills that you need, the habits that you need to form, and how you're going to fit them in. So really simple things is, okay, well, I plan to go to the gym 3 days a week. That's my plan. When are you going to fit those things in? Addition by subtraction, favorite phrase. What are you going to take out to allow you to do the thing that you want to do? Okay, so best thing is when you go into the gym, most people with a 9 to 5 job, you're going to find you want to go to the gym before work or after work. Yep, because it's the easiest time. As soon as you sit down on that sofa at home, yeah, we all know it. It's we're relaxed. Yeah, we don't want to get back up again and do
The
it.
2 chairs that'll kill you is the armchair and the electric chair.
Never heard that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've broken that habit immediately. So we want to think, okay, where is a gym for convenience that's on our way back from work to home, so that I know I have to drive past that gym and I don't have the option to, or have less of an option to miss it. What is it that they say? If you're going to make a habit, make it accessible, make it easy, and make it enjoyable. Yeah. So don't choose a form of exercise that absolutely scares you to start off with, joining in with some form of class that's in that gym, even if kind of like it's not particularly orientated towards your goals. So let's say, for example, a spin class doesn't intimidate you as much as a high intensity circuit class. Choose the spin class. Doesn't matter how many, because every single person on the planet will have an opinion about the form of exercise that you're going to do. It's like, oh, you're doing deadlifts. Oh, not the best for building muscle. Oh, not the best for your back. The kind of the risk outweighs the benefits. Now you do that with every single form of exercise. Everybody will have an opinion on it. So biggest thing is ignore 95% of people's opinions. Yeah, doing something is going to be a lot better than doing nothing.
So you're going to have to really take people's opinions, but make the final decision yourself.
100%.
And educate yourself.
Yeah.
Although I still, because I am quite well educated, but because we have that trust, and I know that you're the person I want to train me, I find that when I still go to train with you, I just rely on you to
So easy, isn't it?
give me step by step on what we're going to do today.
It's going back to Luke's story.
Oh yeah, remind us about that one.
Well, so I'm a bit of I got told this when I was doing.
I'm definitely like Luke.
Yeah, I got my my feedback from a coaching course once, and he said, "Oh, Matt's a bit of a talker," and I don't know whether that was positive or negative. I like people to understand why they're doing something. So he's like, my idea being that if you inherently understand why we're giving you an exercise, why we're giving you a program, you'll get more out of it, and you're more likely to stick to it. And anyway, we're stood by the whiteboard in a strength class, and I'm explaining kind of why this program, and one of the members, Luke, he knows I use this story all the time now, and I said, okay, Luke, what are you going to do? Do you understand what we're doing here? He's like, Matt, just shut the and just tell me what to do. Yeah,
I'm Luke. I just want told.
Some people just want to know what to do. Is they hire a coach, or they hire a trainer, or they go to a class because their lives are so busy.
Yeah.
Because they have so much going on as it is, they don't want to think about it. They just want to be told what to do and get on with it. And in all honesty, good statistic, it's not even a statistic, it's just a phrase that we use. Most people will get strong in spite of bad programming. So even though they're not on the optimal program, and sometimes they're on pretty bad programs, they still get stronger, they still reach their goals. And so really sorry to all the trainers out there that try and do the world's greatest programs. Other people will still get stronger on worse programming.
It's like anything I've ever tried to do, I've never really known, but I just start and slowly along the way adjust and make things better.
What's the saying?
Don't know.
Or is it a bad plan executed now is better than a perfect plan executed tomorrow? So
the question is, if anyone's listening, is it too late?
It's never too late.
Which is kind of an obvious answer.
Yeah.
But when you're... Oh, tell us a story about... I know it's a short story about the elderly woman, your friend's mum or auntie or someone.
Daphne.
And this is, and probably this is the bit where I really like about you. You're not out there trying to make athletes. You're just trying to make people's lives better.
Are we on about Daphne's goal of what she wanted to achieve? So if I'm remembering your story correctly that you want me to tell, so Daphne, absolutely wonderful lady, never been to a gym in her life. So stepping into kind of like a high intensity gym where you're surrounded by 20 to 30 somethings, throwing hundreds of kilos up above their heads. Must have been the most intimidating thing in the
It was
world.
intimidating for me when I turned up.
It's intimidating for most people. And the funny thing is I think people, when they go to those situations, they think everybody's going to look at me and how bad I am. It's like, no, they're too busy suffering.
So how did Daphne turn up?
Through a recommendation. So one of our coaches, she was basically wanting her to kind of like start getting into exercise. And she said, okay, come along. We'll see if we can get you started. And her big goal was, she went to church every Sunday and she wanted to read from the sermon, but she was afraid that she would look like the little old lady using the handrail. So she wanted to obviously think of like a church steps before the altar, very wide steps, quite big steps. And it's only 4 or 5 of them, but she didn't want to have to use the handrail getting up. And her goal was literally, I want to be able to go up there, be confident that I'll be in the middle of the steps and I won't make a fool of myself. Yeah. Now, that's fantastic because she has drive, she has purpose, she has motivation. She'll do everything that she needs to do to get to that goal because it's very specific. But also, we can get a hell of a lot of good stuff that we can slip in that we know she's going to benefit from. Yeah. So things like when you're getting into your 70s, we say getting up and down from the ground as part of your routine. Like, try and do any exercise that involves you being ground bound, coming back up again, ground bound, back up again, because the risk of falls is going to increase dramatically after you kind of like hit that 70. Frailty again is going to be a big problem. So we can get her doing some load bearing exercise to improve the density of her bones.
Is this what you did with Daphne?
Yeah, 100%. Get her doing more kind of like ground based training. So where she's up and down a little bit more, and then just confidence with her balance. And getting somebody those 3 things who's never been to the gym before and is approaching their golden years, oh my God, the benefit and the confidence that you see in that person is outstanding.
How old was Daphne?
70, she was in her mid-70s, yeah.
She just turned up?
I don't think it was easy. I think she said she'd literally sat outside in the car for like 20 minutes, just like she turned up early and just sat there kind of like willing herself to come in.
Well, we're all going to end up like Daphne someday.
100%.
So imagine imagine the confidence when you've gone from holding the handrail to not.
Yeah.
And being able to go up there, you feel like you're born again, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And if you can then keep up those progressions towards doing something else, and then you've done your thing, I know I can do that. What's another goal? What's something that you struggle with? Yeah.
And that's definitely something that you're interested in is helping people from all walks of life become better.
So I think I've had a lot of athletes land on my lap, not because I pursued them, but because they needed assistance at certain points in time. And they are really good. They're actually very easy to train, kind of like high-end athletes. And we always say training people who are very enthusiastic about the gym is very difficult because they spend too much time in the gym. So they're prone to overtraining, they're prone to doing things that aren't on the program, they're prone to going off program massively. Athletes are fantastic because they don't want to be in the gym, they want to be doing their sport. Yeah, so you get them to do the bare minimum, they recover well, and they still make progression. Our goal is not to try and give an athlete as much volume as possible. We actually want to give them the least amount of training possible to progress. As long as they're progressing, fantastic. Because actually, we're such a little, as a strength and conditioning coach, we're such a little part of their lives. We overstate our significance. And then actually, well, if I've got a boxer, it's more important how they work on their training days in the ring, when they're sparring, than it is how they're performing in the gym. Yeah. And then very similar is kind of like people who don't really want to be in the gym. So great to train because you're going back to novice gains. Do you remember when you first ever started kind of like doing bench press? You can put weight on it every time. You see progressions every single time. But also is they just do exactly what's on the program every single time. Yeah,
That's me.
Exactly. And do we make progress?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get a few more questions.
If I could make any mark on the fitness industry before I die, what would it be?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think there's so many things that irritate me about the fitness industry that I want to kind of like try and improve upon.
But is that not? Is there not fucking all of us in every industry?
Yeah.
Do we
What
not?
would you want to change in, like, if you like, let's say kind of like business mentoring. So there's more and more, isn't there, out there? what would you want more people to do in business mentoring that you think would help people getting into business?
It's okay having a broad understanding how things work. But ultimately things work how you want them to work. And if you don't try something new, well, you're never going to change what's already out there. So whenever I was writing my first book, 10 Steps to Success in Business, I read all these books and I've been listening to business gurus and people for years, and just realized that I just have to write the 10 steps how I see them. Because if I write them steps how I see them, then that's me being authentic, and that's been my journey.
Yeah.
There's no point in me going on Google and saying what's the 10 things that people want to know most about business.
Yeah.
Because that's just what's being researched now. And imagine how things have evolved since you've got into fitness and where things are going to go. Do you know the quote that I loved? You said to me one day, Sean, I asked you a question and you said, Sean, just eat more protein, drink more water and get more sleep. Well, imagine imagine that's all you had to do.
Yeah.
And if that's the foundation before you have to go and balance on one leg while do 10 skips and then some other bizarre movement, are you going to drink more water, get more sleep and get more protein?
Yeah.
And I've basically, through the help of you, stripped it back down to try and learn less or forget a lot of the bullshit that I've heard, because I'm not going to get lean in 8 weeks. I'm not going to starve myself at the sacrifice of something else. But if you bring it back to business, no one's journey is going to be the same as yours.
Yeah.
And you just have to have some basics or some values that you know, however the world changes, them basics and your values are never going to change.
Yeah.
And then make it your own. And stop listening to all this shit that you've got. 60 seconds will change your life. 10, if you do this for 10 days, it's just not going to exist.
Yeah.
It has to be something that's going to be consistent over a really long period of time. I know you're nodding at me saying, Sean, you're just giving yourself all the answers and fitting, but something that you're going to do most of your life onto a stage. Maybe you're just not, maybe you're happy not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe you think, well, look, I've done it. I'm just not doing it anymore. Well, that's even okay. As long as you don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. But exactly. So Danny, my missus, is working through your book at the moment, and she's literally like doing, and I'm sat there looking at it and going, but she's loving filling it out. She's going along and kind of like the process. And it's exactly the same thing in the fitness industry. Is you're there going, right, there's so much information out there. And I think the change that I'd like to see in the fitness industry is moving more away from allowing beginners and people that are trying to be enthusiastic about fit training, plugging them with evidence-based training programs. So evidence-based training programs where basically you're using current research to continually progress kind of like the train, rather than relying on what is right for the client, but also what they enjoy. Like I'd say that fundamentally getting somebody to enjoy their training is far more important than giving them the most up-to-date advice in terms of the 1%. Yeah. So whether that person is kind of, if they're doing perfectly 3 seconds under control for an eccentric repetition, is I'm not going to be getting them to enjoy it as much as if I'm just trying to get them to beat a rep record. 1 will get them the time under tension. 2 will get them the time under tension.
Can you convince yourself that you're enjoying it? Like we said before, no one ever regrets doing a workout.
It's hard during it though.
I fucking hate waking up every morning, going to start training.
Yeah.
So the process there is like, oh, this is exhausting.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes the first 15, 20 minutes I'm thinking, oh, I'm just going to do it because I have to, because I'm here. But at the end of it, I think, wow, that was great. But how do you get someone? So the answer for me is I'm accountable to you. How do you get someone to convince themselves that they're actually enjoying it?
I know how most people do try and enjoy their training program is by novelty, by changing it a little bit too regularly. I'm becoming the evidence-based guy here, aren't I? So unfortunately, what we're going to have to take a little bit of it. Once people have got into the gym and they've done the basics, they seek novelty to try and maintain that level of enthusiasm, don't they? Which we call them program hoppers. So they'll go from one program to the next, where they never really reach the point at which on that program the suffering's going to start. Yeah, and that kind of that homeostatic disruption is going to kind of like really kick in. And the problem is when it gets difficult for people, sometimes that drive to the gym becomes more and more stressful because you know that's going to be hard work, or the novelty's worn off.
Oh, I wouldn't turn up whenever I'm squatting. There's not a chance I would turn up when I know that you're there to save me if the squat goes wrong.
How often has a squat gone wrong?
Well, it hasn't. But you're there. Will you do? Oh, hold on a minute. For me, a squat hasn't gone wrong, or a bench hasn't gone wrong. But there is that moment where you're saying I've got one more rep. I've either convinced myself I fucking haven't, and I haven't. But you saved me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You have saved me, or you're behind me, so it's given me the confidence to get that final rep.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that on your own.
So not only are we looking at accountability, we're also looking at the confidence that you're putting your trust in somebody who is got your back throughout it. Oh, not only through kind of like that rep, but also for a training program. I think it's very important. But yeah, I'd like to see kind of like more accessibility for people and bringing training back towards being enthusiastic. Like, do this because it's fun and it's a good kind of, good way of getting fit. That's when I first got into the fitness industry. That's what the majority of things was do this because it's a great program. Do you know what I mean? Even if it is the kind of like the workout of 6 weeks to get bigger arms, or the 6 weeks to improve your squat and challenge workouts, because we know what's at the end of that. We know that we're going to either get bigger arms or we're going to improve our squats.
Wouldn't it be great to feel the result before you did it? Maybe that'll be the future. You'll be able to put on goggles, look in the mirror, have some sort of suit that's going to let you feel what it's going to look like and feel like, and then you might even do it.
Oh, feel, yeah. Look like, I think you can do that now with AI, can't you, really? And I think people would rely on that for using for their Instagram profiles rather than actually wanting to be good at life. But feel, I think would be...
Yeah, it'd be great
to get people to understand, like, if I could go back 20 years, university era where I was pretty useless, not doing any fitness, doing the occasional swimming and rock climbing session, and then go back to see how my body felt then versus how it does now, because we know our memory is a fickle thing. But
you get used to the new norm.
Yeah.
So you probably don't feel any better than somebody who doesn't exercise a lot because they don't know what it's like to feel any different. So what would you say is the most underrated exercise that gives you the best results?
Right, so I'm going to give a controversial answer just because it's fun. Deadlifts. So again, I don't know whether it's just me wanting to be the controversial guy in an argument, but there's a big thing about kind of risk versus reward. Now, picking heavy things up and down from the ground I feel is something that you need to be getting everybody doing, because we're not talking like having to do 300 kilo deadlift and trying to work for elite, but getting people to lift heavy objects up and down from the ground, really, really important. We also tend to find, even though the studies and the research say that deadlifts aren't really good for putting on muscle mass, we tend to find people who deadlift heavy tend to put on a significant amount of muscle mass.
So for bringing that into real life is, as you get older, you're not relying on somebody taking the bins out or lifting the sofa because you drop something underneath it.
In all likelihood, I'd introduce a golden years athlete to deadlifting before I'd introduce them to squatting, really, because it's got more carry forward. We'll get them to do some form of squatting. So let's say, going back to your Daphnes, we'd get them doing sitting up and down from a bench. But introduce them to the deadlift, I'd say you're going to find dividends.
anyone that's listening to this is going to say it's well for Matt and it's well for Sean. They must have the time. But imagine the person that's got 2 jobs or a family and they don't have the time.
Yeah.
But they could squeeze out 20 minutes, half an hour every day. But they can't, they have to stay at home. What could they do?
Well, obviously bodyweight exercises is going to be the big one. The hard bit is we're going to be talking to a broad range of people here. So I'd love to see people doing some form of pull-ups. Now, people think pull-ups, oh God, yeah, I'm never going to be able to do pull-ups. We don't want people to do pull-ups. We want people to do the progressions towards doing pull-ups because they have more benefit than anything for shoulder health. So for kind of like somebody who's first starting, just hanging off a bar with your feet supported. Yep, obviously you have to have a pull-up bar at home for that. Big problem. So you get a door frame pull-up bar and then progressing towards doing it unsupported. Once you can do 30 seconds, progressing to holding your chin over the bar with your feet supported, towards progressing to hold your chin over the bar without your feet supported. And even if you never make that progression, the benefits that you're going to see from
Well,
that.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
First, well, actually, yeah, so I was in my late 20s and I couldn't do a pull-up.
No.
When I first got coached by you. And then I did my progressions. And now for me, not doing a pull-up seems like unbelievable.
I was saying this to people. I can't remember a time where I couldn't do a pull-up because we literally had, my dad built gymnastics bars. Well, he built like a climbing frame outside. So we always had access, and it was do your pull-up progressions before kind of like your dinner approach. So I can't remember a point in time where we couldn't do push-ups and pull-ups. Push-ups is another important one. And then some form of intensity training. So things like Tabata, 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest with gymnastics exercises. So that could be 20 seconds of sit-ups, 10 seconds of rest, 8 times through, 4 minutes total work. And then maybe doing kind of like your bar hangs and your push-ups. Yep. If you want to add on top of that, if you've got to buy something, buy a kettlebell. Learn how to do kettlebell deadlifts, learn how to then do kettlebell swings, then learn how to progress towards doing kind of like single arm swings. And with a single kettlebell, you've got kind of like, even as you're getting stronger, you can progress towards doing overhead presses, like I say, with a single kettlebell. And eventually you've worn out your kettlebell over a year, treat yourself to another kettlebell.
Isn't Joe Rogan famous for someone who just does kettlebell workouts most of the time?
Yeah. Is On It? Is On It his brand?
He does mention it. And skipping.
Oh, see, to be honest, yeah. Something I hadn't actually put in there. Yeah, I'd put in skipping because you're getting at all ages.
Yeah.
If you can't skip, then literally kind of like bounding calf raises. I think rebounding exercise was one for a while, which I used to kind of think, that's nothing. But then you look at the benefits to people doing rebounder training. I think it was you who kind of like said, what do you think about this? And when you say something, I was like, well, I'll go find out
so
for you.
So rebounding is when you when you jump on the trampoline.
Yeah, exactly. And is skipping, obviously, if you're getting older athletes into it, absolutely fantastic. So you're getting the lymphatic system working, you're getting the tendons acting. We don't want to go too far down
So
it.
there really is, well, again, an endless amount of things that could be done at home. If you were to, probably the hardest thing is making sure that it's set up.
Yeah.
That the skipping rope's there, the kettlebell's there.
Yeah.
The pull-up bar's there, because if you're going to spend 5-10 minutes setting up,
yeah,
you're just not going to do it.
Yeah. But without any equipment, I'm going to say push-ups, squats, and then some form of
or up and down from a chair.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. Nice to see you today, as I saw you yesterday, and as I'll see you in the gym tomorrow.
All right, fantastic. Good talk.